next speaker, Mr. Mazohl. Mr. Mazohl is a journalist and the professional of Arbeit and Wirtshcaft. Is from Austria, and we give the floor.
Well, as it has been said before, I am a journalist. I didn't start, I'm not a teacher, I am not a journalist. I'm working as a chief editor of a magazine that's published by the Austrian Trade Union Federation and the Chamber of Labor. And we are some sort of business magazine that's focusing on social issues. I'm not really used to talking English. I hope it works. My focus will be the effects on social mobility. What Andreas said before, that we're in some sort of a digital revolution that's taking place. We've also got to see what happens with the revolutions. What does it mean to our educational system? Right now here in Austria, we can say that you study if your parents did. If you look at these figures, that's it shows that if your parents graduated from university, then you've got a rather big chance that also you graduate from university. If your parents only graduated a compulsory school, then it's not really likely that you go to university and graduate. That's why we talk about inherited privileges. It's also the same with the income. This is a graphic that only exists for sons of fathers, not for daughters of mothers, but it shows that who will reach the highest income level if you divide the incomes into quarters. Who reaches the highest quarter? That's most likely the sons of fathers that earn the highest income, and not really likely the sons of fathers with the lowest income. So that's when we talk about social mobility, we've got to keep an eye on what further education could mean for that, because distance learning, we don't know very much how distance learning affected in Austria. COVID-19, we had the situation that the schools had to close. Also, children were educated at home. There were many people in home office. They worked from home. They had the children at home learning. And what now we've got some first study that shows that the success of school at school depends on the parents' money and time. So pupils that have parents with a low income or pupils of single parents, they don't. There's a real gap between them and parents that have money and have time. So in this case, distance learning widens the gap, and we've got to keep an eye on that. But why? What were the problem areas at school? At school, there were missing standards at all. It was depending on the teacher. It was depending on the school. Teachers had to use the right hardware. They had a lack of experience. It has never been done before. Of course, also there was a lack of training. They didn't really know how to do it. And at home, we had other problem areas. Do children have a workplace where they can have a computer or another hardware that is necessary? Are the parents able to help them? Do they have the time? Are they even at home? And of course, some other issues about missing friends and no meals, things like that. So when we talk about further education, I think there are some learnings that we couldn't see from the situation at school to the learnings to the situation in businesses. The first question should be, it's not a matter of how, but rather if distance learning can take place. And of course, it's not only a matter of how, but rather of very basic competences to use certain tools. And the message should be, please do include and don't exclude people. What the Austrian Chamber of Labor does, it spends about 115 million euro to foster some digital competences. This means they want people to have equal opportunities to access some digital tools. They want people to be included, and this targets not only schools, but also workers and worker councils. So this is a project that happened in September. It was planned before, but it was delayed due to the COVID-19 situation. This took place on the streets, and it was to reach out and to empower people without nearly any digital competences. These are not only older people. Andreas said before that there's some sort of gap between men and women. And of course, there's some gap between people that are working at offices and people that are really in the production or some other work. And there were some very, very basic skills that have been provided that start really with some secure internet use, to get email addresses, to buy tickets. And of course, now we've got a really devastated labor market to employ for jobs online. This was one of the really a big issue because the agency that provides jobs was nearly only reachable online. And there are quite a few people that didn't have the chance or didn't have the possibility or had other problems to go online, to get into these tools, to use them, and even apply for jobs online. This is the part where it's about very basic skills that have to be provided, that people even can use some instruments of distance learning. And then there's another thing. So this was the really basic thing about distance learning, but now we've got some other technology that's becoming some sort of hot stuff. If you think about augmented reality, it's very simple. You wear glasses. Any work step from very simple things that you can do, or even it can simulate things in production lines. So this is something that can have a major impact because it's also not, you don't need a certain place to do it. You can do it anywhere. And you don't need the skills a skilled worker has. So the glasses can show you anything, and what's the outcome of this? That's the question we've got to go behind, because maybe if you don't need any skilled workers anymore, what does that mean for our society? Is this some other step for more social immobility? So this was my very short input. I think there's some time left, but I'm surprised I'm finished now. I thought I'd need a little bit longer.